What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Damon Speaks live, coming to you from Damon Speaks Studios, otherwise known as my bedroom. Uh, Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm here every Monday night at 8 p.m. coming to you. What do I want to talk about? This week has been a very interesting week. I keep replaying something over and over in my head. I was having a conversation with a colleague. Hey, sis. Hey, Leah. You know what? I put that together. I'm trying to, step my little game up or whatever. And I'm so proud of myself that I was able to put that together. Like, I'm not very technically proficient when it comes to like devices and technology, but I have been willing. My anchor as of late has been feel the fear and do it anyway. Just feel the fear and do it anyway. So while I have been afraid, while I have been nervous, while at times I have felt super uncomfortable, I press on and I do it anyway. So, but I've been replaying this thing over and over in my mind. There was a guy that said something to the effect of like, COVID-19 happened, and all of a sudden, every opera singer is Sally Jesse Raphael. And it's funny, but a lot of us are finding our way. A lot of us are finding different ways to be creative. A lot of us are finding different ways to be interactive. And I think it's wonderful that so many of us are stepping into the role of the interviewer. I'm not just starting. In a few weeks, it will have been 4 years that I've been doing Damon Speaks. And during this pandemic, it's just been bumped up even more, even though there are a lot of terrible things that have happened. A lot of people have lost family members. A lot of people have lost livelihoods. Somehow, in the midst of chaos and in the midst of struggle, God has really been blessing me. And I find that to be incredible. And I am so grateful. And I don't say that to boast. I don't say that to make anyone feel bad about the things that they may have lost. But I think it's also, for me, about perspective. Yes, Courtney, Sally Jesse. Hey, Christina. So it's about perspective. I talk a lot about, us being in the world and us seeing other people being blessed with whatever it is that they're blessed with, a Met debut or a new boyfriend or a new house or whatever that thing may be, and thinking to ourselves, well, damn, when is it going to be my turn? When am I going to get the boyfriend? When am I going to get the money? If we could simply shift our perspective and say, oh, you know what? Now that I see that you're getting that, I know it's possible for me. If God could bless you with that man, if God could bless you with that house or with that job or whatever it is that's the desire of your heart, then that means that it's close to me, especially if it's a good friend. Because, like a lot of relationships are thrown off because the best friend gets the thing that the other friend wanted all this time, and they get resentful, and they let that little speck of resentment turn into a rock of resentment that separates the two. And they lose their friendship, they lose their closeness. But if you could say, oh my God, my best friend just got married, that means that it's close to me. That means that the blessing is on its way to me. Then you'll be much closer to it, but you'll also just feel better while you're in that waiting period, while you're in that period of wanting something, feeling the desire. A lot of times we feel like it's the desire that's making us feel bad. My friends, you can try as much as you want to get rid of the desire if it's rooted deeply inside of you, but you can't get rid of it. It's always going to pop back up. It's like a dandelion. It's like a weed, like it's going to pop back up. So the thing is to become okay with the desire. Yes, I want this thing. No, it's not happening right now. That doesn't feel good. Just try to change your perspective. I know that it is not easy. I'm not telling you that it is, but I do know that it's possible. So anyway, I have a very special guest tonight. We met at the beginning of March doing a show called Grace that's written by Nolan Williams, and COVID just came in and just swept all my gigs away. Swept that gig away, swept all the gigs away. But I'm so grateful that we were able to come together and that I was able to meet her. I'm not going to do a long introduction because we have a lot of things to talk about. And I'm so grateful that she's here. So I want to introduce everyone to my friend, Lacretta. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I am here. My camera is on, but this streaming situation just don't want to show my face.
The streaming
Not today.
situation does
And I
not
did
want you
such a
to show
great
your
job
face.
on it too.
You look fabulous. I can see
But
what you
I'm
look like
still happy
in
to
this
be here
camera.
nonetheless. Oh, good. Because on
Yeah.
my screen it's just you.
Oh. Do you want to go out and come in
Am
one
I
more
moving at
time?
least?
Nope, it's not moving on
Yes,
my
let's
end.
try that.
Okay.
Okay. Am I smiling at least? Or my eyes
You're
closed?
smiling. You're not you don't have one of those like faces.
Right? Mid movement. Okay, I'm gonna leave and I'll come right back.
Okay, I'll see you in a few minutes. Um, yeah, so that just goes to show you, going back to the Sally Jesse Raphael thing, that people may not understand what it is that you feel led to do. People may not understand you stepping out on a limb, and that's some of the fear, right? That people are going to talk about us behind our backs, that people are going to think that we're crazy. Let them think that. Let them think that we're crazy. Let them think that we're foolish. Let them think that we, don't know what we're doing, or we're trying to follow someone else's path. Listen, I'm going to take all that to the bank. When I get my book deal, when I have millions of followers on Instagram, it's not to show them anything, but it is to show them something. Because instead of being concerned about me, why aren't you concerned about you? Why aren't you concerned about what you're doing in your life? You know, I've talked a lot this week about bullies. I was bullied heavily. I talked about that last week, actually, in the Damon Speaks show. And I found some grace for those people that feel the need to talk about someone, for those people that feel the need to be bullies. Now, it's not just childhood bullies. There are some adult bullies. There may be a bully. You may have a bully in your marriage. Your best friend may be trying to bully you. How do we combat that? How do we deal with that? Boundaries. I'm not good at them. I'm not even going to sit up here and lie to you. I'm not great at boundaries. I'm not good at saying, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I will go to the end, to the last hair, just hanging on. But I'm learning. And I think that it would be great if we could embody the spirit of learning, embody the spirit of figuring it out, not having to have it all figured out at once. We're all on a journey. I feel like in some ways, COVID-19 and this pandemic has been a great equalizer. Everybody's struggling. Everybody is struggling to pay their rent, to figure out what their next move is going to be. So we're definitely not alone. Exactly, Leah. Growth. Um, so the best thing that we can do is be concerned about ourselves. The best thing that we can do. And I know that sounds weird because we've been taught to share. We've been taught to think of others before ourselves. We've been taught that we aren't worthy. When you think in the terms of being a Christian and being a good Christian, and saying, Lord, I am unworthy. I'm a sinner. And I don't deserve your love. I don't deserve your grace. There was a great preacher um, that I saw one time that said, the last thing that Black people need to do is to come to church on Sunday morning after being beat up all week out in the world, and to hear that they're not worthy. And so I wrestle with that, being taught that my righteousness is as filthy rags. So even my best doesn't even stand up to, what God has done or what God is able to do. But also realizing that I am worthy, that I am somebody, that I am Black, and I'm proud. Um, and that's the thing. It's like, it's shades of gray. It's not black and white. We want to think that, it's either right or it's wrong. We want to think that it's either this way or that. But a lot of times in life, it's shades of gray. As much as I am this positive person and I have this beautiful smile, there are days when I struggle. There are days when I can't get out of the bed. There are days when I don't want to get out of the bed. There are days when I don't want to be this positive, loving, lovely person. It's a shade of gray, trying to find ourselves, trying to find our way and wading through the middle. And don't feel bad. If you're struggling, do not feel bad. Because I used to think, oh, nobody else is struggling. Why is it always me? I want to be normal. What is normal anyway? Anyway, my love is back. Lacretta! There you are. Hi.
Okay.
Hey. Let me ask you 3 warm-up questions.
We'll see how long I move for, and then we'll figure it out after that.
What's the first thing you would buy if you won the lottery?
A house.
Okay. Are we talking New York City? Are we talking like condo? What are we talking?
Yeah. Like I probably get a full-on house up here there.
I'm here for it. I feel like a lot of times we're taught, oh, if you live in New York City or you live a certain type of lifestyle, you can't have a house. No, if I won the lottery, I'm buying me a house.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. What was your favorite cartoon character growing up?
Yeah. I will find me a house somewhere and I'm gonna buy it. Ooh. Chitara from what's it called? Thundercats.
Thundercats! I remember Thundercats.
Yes. And I really thought I was doing something because she could run fast. Yes. And when she would run, like flames would be behind her.
Okay, I'm not mad at it. Mine was Mickey. I always wanted to go and see Mickey at Disney World, and I didn't make it until I was 22, 21. No, I was 22.
Yeah.
And I just hugged him. I just loved on him.
Oh.
I love me some Mickey
Yeah, I
Mouse.
was what about 26 the first time I went?
Mm.
Magical experience.
Magical. Disney doesn't ever lose the magic.
Never, never. They're so good. I don't know what kind of magic is going on right now in the midst
Yeah,
of this pandemic, but
yeah,
I'm sure they are finding ways to be creative.
that's real. That's real.
Mm.
Okay, last question for this first round. French fries or tater tots?
Tater tots, always.
You're my
And
girl.
they're so hard to find up here. Like I don't understand why everyone doesn't have tater tots.
Why are people hating on the tater tots?
Right? Like I can't there ain't no Sonic in my neighborhood. I gotta go to Jersey if I want to go to Sonic. So I need more places up here to have tater tots.
Lord Jesus. Uh, okay. I knew that we had a special connection, and I did not know that it was over tater tots.
Yes, yes, it's a deep kinship.
Okay, tell me, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri.
Missouri. Is it
Missouri,
Missouri?
not and
Missouri?
not Kansas. Well, it just depends. Like South Missouri, like near Arkansas, it's Missouri. Missouri. I don't know. I'm from the north. I say Missouri.
How do they even come up with Missouri from Missouri?
It's just the dialect. It's the southern Midwesterners.
Well, what was it like growing up in Missouri? Was it Southern? Because I think of Missouri, I'm like, is it Southern? Like, what is
I
it?
don't. That's the tricky part about it. Like for me, it's it's the Midwest. It's like it's Black people, it's Scandinavian. We had a large Filipino community in Kansas City, Missouri, which was very cool. Um, it definitely is a melting pot. Uh, but it's like yes, there are some Southern transplant, but it's not necessarily Southern to me.
Mm.
Now you might want to ask the older generation, and they may call it Southern, but there's the whole Mason Dixon line. I still don't know what that is, but Missouri is involved in that somehow. I should read more. I really should read more.
Now, I will say that your face is
It's
frozen,
frozen.
but it's frozen in a
But I don't
great.
mind. I'm just gonna leave that there. I mean, that's a lot of my personality. I listen. It is what it is. I know I'm beautiful, so
I'm
there
also
you
going to be
go.
real right
Enjoy
now and
that.
tell you that I don't have my air conditioner on because it's going to
Oh
create like
no,
this bad thing. So I'm like sweating, like, woo, Jesus.
babe. This is what you need to do. You need to get you a little stroller fan.
A
Listen,
little baby one.
a little baby stroller fan. When I tell you this $22 stroller fan is what is saving my life right now, and it's whisper quiet. Can you hear the fan? Can you hear the fan,
I cannot
Bernard?
hear the
Can you hear
fan.
it?
I cannot hear the fan.
There you go. It's making my eyes water. This is what you need in your life. Just clip it right there on the desk. It's rechargeable.
Okay.
It's like 2,600 ohms or whatever them things are called. Listen,
Listen,
$22 Amazon. Go.
$22 is
Stroller
not
fan.
cheap, but it sounds like it was a great purchase.
I bought two. I loved it so much I bought it again.
Okay. My friend Keenan says the audio is crystal clear, though. Almost sounds like a podcast. Okay, thank you.
Oh, well then I don't care. Listen, yeah, I have that little cute little smirk with my little round face.
All right. So, did you have any idea when you were growing up that you would grow up to be this Lacretta?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was the child who was rolling around on the floor on the shag carpet watching what's her name? Esther Williams, who was the swimmer that did all the synchronized swimming stuff
Oh,
sequences in her movie. I think it's Esther Williams. It's
I'm
definitely
horrible with
Esther.
names, but I know who you're talking about.
Maybe Estelle. I don't know. Google is my best friend. Um, so I would be like rolling around on the floor pretending that I was doing these synchronized swimming numbers and had no idea that New York would be in my future or even college would be in my future. My mind was just not on those things.
Even college.
No, I wouldn't think about college. I was thinking about elementary school and telling my friends about the cartoons I watched that weekend. Like I was not thinking about the future until much later.
When did you have an inkling that you wanted to be like an artist or be in theater or music?
Well, my mother sang. She had a gospel group that she sang with, and she sang with the choir at Prince of Peace Missionary Baptist Church.
Prince of Peace.
And it's so cute because on their choir robes it said "Pop," and I was obsessed. But I literally had to be told that this was a possibility for me. Like I was a part of a playwrights roundtable in high school, and we would read each other's plays. And so I was reading some child's play I was reading, and the facilitator was like, "Yo, you should really audition for the Codey Theater, the children's theater, and I think that would be a good fit for you just to try it." And I was like, "What? No, I can't act. Like I'm here to write." And
Mm.
I went and I auditioned, and push came to shove, and one show turned into two shows, turned into every summer, turned into I would do a show, and then I also worked at the candy store across the hallway from the theater.
Mhm.
So there were times where I had double shifts, so I would do the play and then run across and clock in. And then because all the kids across Kansas City, the greater Kansas City area, would come and watch these shows, and then they would come over and buy candy, and they would be like, "Oh, weren't you just in the play?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, buy this $6 candy."
Okay. You saw me in the play. You better buy this candy.
Buy this candy for me.
That's so interesting. Did that feel like taxing or like it was a lot of work?
No, I loved it. I loved it. I have no recollection of the rehearsal process. Um, I don't think the shows ran for very long. But I guess they kind of did. Maybe they did two or three different shows per semester for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it never strike was the only thing that seemed like, ugh, why do I have to be here? And then that was my motivation to get my card was, once I get my equity card, then I don't have to do this stuff no more. I can just leave when the show is over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
always been work. This
Oh
this
my
is one of the
God.
reasons why I think it's so important to sow into young kids' lives and to speak over their lives and to tell them what they can do.
Yes.
Because, who knows if someone had not said, you can really do this. Like sometimes kids just need that voice that gives
Hmm.
them permission to do what they love.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean,
You
I
know?
still would have ended up in the industry. I probably just would have gone about it as a writer as opposed to a performer. And
Mm,
I think I would have been satisfied with that. And so now, when I write now, I often forget about those basics about being in that class, being in that round table, which is still going on today, which I love. Also, the Codey Theater. Shout out to the Codey Theater. They did what's it called? The kids play about racism. What's it called?
I don't know this
There's a
play.
book. There's a children's book called. I should have my tablet over here so that I could say things properly. But hey, folks out there, fact check me on Google. I think it's the children's play about racism, and they did a whole multimedia because it's the age that we're in. The age of the pandemic is the age of virtual productions now,
Hmm.
and they've extended it until August. I'm a lie. I'll just make up something and say August 7th. You can watch it. But it's just a way that made it more accessible to children. Children are they're a lot smarter than we give them credit for sometimes. I mean, yes, a child will walk off a stage into its mother's lap, but also children have the tools to be able to talk about certain things in a way that surprises even adults. And so this is a great way to broach these conversations about racism with children. So, it's free. Check it out.
I wholeheartedly
Once you
agree.
figure out what I'm talking about.
I
It's
wholeheartedly
definitely
agree.
the
Like
Coterie Theater.
kids are smart,
They're
you
so
know?
smart.
So smart. And parents think, oh, they didn't notice that I did that. And the next thing they know, the kid is like opening up a beer or whatever. It doesn't have to be a
Hmm.
beer. It could be like trying to
Right,
put on makeup or brushing their
right.
hair or whatever. Like they notice everything and they're little sponges.
Hmm. Hmm. And my mom always told me, be careful what you do around kids. And
Yeah.
they will also tell your business. So
I got popped
if
once
you're,
or twice for doing that.
yes, exactly. If your 5-year-old niece can tell on you about where you was at, then they can so stop telling your kids that their dog ran away.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
go ahead and have that conversation early. And it sucks. It sucks to talk about dead things, but just to put it in a way that they understand early, so that when it comes time for an adult to pass away, that they can have this conversation and they can kind of understand it a little better, so that it's not so traumatic. I mean, it's going to be hard enough as it is, but
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah. Question. Someone
mhm.
says, Lacretta, are you Iowa grad?
Yeah, who is that? Who is asking about my graduate school days?
My friend Kara, I think maybe she went to Iowa.
Yes, Kira.
Yeah.
Wait, your friend Kara. Wait, I have a friend named Kira. Your friend's name is Kara?
The Kara.
Okay, yes. My friend Kira, she might be tuned in too, but Kara, what's Kara's last name?
Murnau. Mernaugh. I think she may not have been married then. All right, love you. All right, bye now. You're on live too.
Oh,
Everybody can hear your voice.
bye.
Oh Lord Jesus, don't get lost in the hurricane.
There's a hurricane?
There's a hurricane coming. Apparently, he's driving to
Oh.
see his family in North Carolina.
Oh, he's driving
Um,
into it then.
so you went to U Iowa. This is feeding into my next question.
Oh,
So you studied opera?
I did. I
What? Tell me
did.
about
And
that journey.
again, that was not my intention. My intention, what I thought that I was supposed to be doing, is going to grad school to get my MFA in acting. And it just so turned out that my first year there, second semester, they were doing Carmen and they
Mm.
needed an understudy. And somehow my name got thrown into the hat. They were having, like, I think I found out later, they were having like an administrative meeting or something, interdepartmental something, blah, blah, blah. And my name came up. And I auditioned and I was like, oh God, like, it's gonna be rusty because it's been a whole semester that I haven't really used it. I auditioned and I got to be Carmen. First opera, terrified. Very first opera, Carmen. We're gonna baptize you by fire, girl. Come on,
That's no
come on here
joke.
and do it. But thankfully, it was just like one performance and not like the full weekend. So I did the Saturday performance to give the music major, to give her a night off in between performances.
Nice. What was that
Yeah.
like to be on the stage
It
as Carmen?
it was thrilling once I got past the fear. Um, there's one song in the first act when she's appealing to Don Jose to untie her.
Mm, 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 mm.
And the violins, I think a viola is supposed to give you your pitch.
Mhm.
But something happened, and I had also, the devil is a lie, I had also gotten a cold like the week before. So my
Lord.
ears were all messed up.
Lord.
And I also think somebody misplayed. Somebody was just ready. They were just prepped and ready for that downbeat. And the conductor gave that downbeat, but that was not their downbeat. So there was like this weird like mixing of pitches, but they were very close together. And then I didn't know which one it was because I do not have perfect pitch, nor do I want it. But um I then was in this in between key with the orchestra, and it sounds
Okay.
terrible.
Okay.
And
Okay.
later, when I heard the recording, my note was it was there. I mean, that was the pitch that I was supposed to have sung. So a part, I think, also a part of that had been just a little bit of nerve tone deafness
Mhm.
that happens when you have an anxious moment. And I just felt so exposed. And I think, my anxiety got the better of me. Once we got past that, though, child, it was on. It was
Run up
on. And
happening.
I had, oh my God, I had a blast. I had such a great time. And, I met with people later towards the end of my time there. And there were people that would come up to me and be like, oh my God, your Carmen was the best Carmen that I've ever seen. And I was like, oh, well, that's very generous of you. And they were like, no, you just don't understand. Like, opera is our life, and we go around the world and we go and we watch it. And there has never been a Carmen like yours.
Come
I was
on.
like,
Come on.
wow, that really flattered me. And so that was going to be, then that was my intention when I moved to New York, was to do opera. And again, the universe was like, no, that's not what you're going to do. Will you just listen to us in the first place?
Okay. P.S. Kira is here. She's watching from
Hi.
YouTube. Um, oh, so many things that I get out of that. Like, I wanted to ask you how you deal with fear, because fear is a real thing, especially in the performing arts, having to get on
Yeah.
stage and be, in tip-top shape all the
Yeah.
time or feel that pressure.
Yeah. And it's a lot of pressure. I mean, especially at that time, I wasn't in the program. I was still in the acting program. Um, I was very, quote unquote, urban. um, and so, I wasn't as hoity-toity as some of my colleagues were. And also, they were battling with their own judgmentalness of how this girl gonna come in here who this isn't her passion. Like, this isn't what she's been working on since she was 16. Like, we
Mhm,
have been taking lessons since we were 8 years old, and blah 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 blah.
mhm.
And for me to come in and wasn't a major and get to be the understudy, there was a part of me that didn't feel right about that
Mm,
either, because that's not what I was pursuing at that time. The
mhm.
conversations for me to change departments didn't happen until after the performance. So I was thinking, oh, I'll come over and I'll do this. because I'm not doing a play or a musical, because there weren't any musicals that the MFA program were doing. I'm not doing a big show. So this is my big show for the semester. Um, and then, the next 2 years, then I'll be back in the MFA program, and I'll graduate with an MFA. And so there was a lot of pressure that I put on myself, because I was like, well, I have to make a good impression because this is not my major. I also have to, quote unquote, prove that I have the chops to be here
That's
to,
the thing.
all these people that have been doing this since undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went tone deaf for 2.5 seconds, that was my manifestation of fear. And I don't know exactly what I said to myself. I think I just let go.
Mm.
And once I got back on track, and you can hear me like trying to get back to the key that everyone else is in, and you can hear it when it locks in. And then from then on, I was like, that was me, the horse out of the gate from that moment on.
Mm.
But
Mm.
I felt so empowered and so sexy. And, a full figured woman, they don't often let you do that. So it was
Listen.
really nice.
Huh?
Listen, they don't let us be sexy. I was watching TMZ today and just listened to the way that they talk about women, and how gorgeous they are when they're super, super thin. And yes, they are beautiful, but like when they talk about Lizzo, or when they talk about,
Mm.
I mean, really, Lizzo is all that they're really talking about right now. Like they don't, they don't talk about how gorgeous she is. And I have a problem with that.
That is a problem.
It's a
That is
problem.
absolutely a problem. I think
Yeah.
it's so wonderful that you got a chance. By the way, David says hi. Hi, David. We love you.
Hi.
Um, I think it's so awesome that that space was made for you, because
Yeah.
there may have been someone that showed up that night that thought, oh, full figured woman can't be sexy, but you worked it and you showed them, oh,
Listen, oh, and when I died, like you heard an audible because it
listen,
was so tragic. Like I died like Boys in the Hood died. I died, child.
as much as opera is about the voice, it's also about acting. Some of the girls can
Yes,
sing you down, but they can't act. So
yes,
when you have someone
yeah,
that can sing and act, it's like, oh,
yeah, yeah. And at that time there wasn't a lot of, and like our director was an opera director, but he had a bit of a theater background. And
hmm,
so like Michael Mayer is doing so many more operas at the Met now, and he directed American Idiot. So it wasn't until after I graduated that they started marrying theatrical directors with opera.
mm,
And that totally, I mean, that's what pops it open for me, is
yes,
like a fierce actor who is singing and also that knows what they're singing.
yes,
Because
the
you can
word,
tell
the
when they
intent.
just doing vowels and consonances or when they're actually singing the text.
Like there's a clarity that comes, there's a specificity
Mm-hmm.
that comes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all right, all right. So karma happens.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, maybe I'm gonna be a voice major, maybe I'm gonna be a theater major. Where did you end up? Like, what did you get your master's degree in?
I ended up getting my master's in music, in vocal performance and pedagogy.
Come on, vocal performance and pedagogy.
So I ended up changing departments, which was really trippy. Some of you may have experienced the whole, well, we don't break you down to build you up, or we're not going to play with your mind. This is about education, and we want you to have the tools to be able to. Well, my program, intentionally or unintentionally, took us to a place where I felt I was a bit unstable. In an
Mentally.
effort to get us to be, yeah, in an effort to get us to be emotionally open, which is good for honesty and response to your scene partner, is great. But it got to the point where I would be watching TV, and over the course of the commercial break, whatever that commercial was trying to incite in you, I was feeling. So over the course of a commercial break, I'd be laughing, I'd be crying, I'd be angry, I'd be touched, I'd be blah, 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 blah. And then thank God the show would start again. And I was like,
Mm,
this is too much. This is way,
mm,
way, way too much. And so when
mhm,
it became proposed to me to that the music department wanted me in their program, I thought this was just another ploy because they kept saying, you don't really want to be here. You don't really want to be here. And I was like, well, I do. Like, I'm going in debt to be here. This is why I'm in your program, is because
mhm,
I don't think I'm ready to move to New York. I need you to give me the tools that is going to allow me to be able to compete because I'm coming from the Midwest. Like, we don't have any courses that I can take. Yes, but what I was failing to remember was, girl, you had done 3, 4, 5, 11 plays and musicals starting from the age of 14.
mhm,
Could I have come to New York after high school? Possibly. But the difficulties that I had in grad school prepared me for the difficulties then that I had up here in New York. So everything worked out. But when you're going through it, you're like, dang, why he picking up? Why he so mean? And how come I'm not his favorite? And I work so hard and I'm really good and I'm getting better. And look at this and look at that. And come see me do this. And, oh, you don't want to come? Like, dang. And then you get to New York and they're like, thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. Who are you again? Lucretia?
Oh
Hi.
God,
What are you going to sing?
not
Actually, since you're
Lucretia.
not X, you're only going to get to sing 8 bars. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, you got here at 6:30 in the morning? We don't really care. It's 3:30. We're now going to tell you to go home. We're not going to be able to see you. So had I not gone through all the BS that I went through in grad school, then I definitely wouldn't still be here in New York right now.
Wow. 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 That's a word because, as much as we hate to go through the dark
Hmm.
times, as much as we hate to go through the things that are very challenging and sad or that break us in a way, I
Hmm.
feel like it's always preparing us for something that's
Yes.
coming down the road that we don't know, that we cannot see.
Yes. And
And
I was never like, oh, I'm putting all my faith in you, God. I know that I'm going to come through on the other side of this. I'm going to strong. I'm learning. I'm learning. No, I was just crying,
mm, mm,
crying all the time. It was like, why would you? I felt like, why was the head of department doing this to me? Why would you say all this time that I don't want to be in your program, and then you call me into your office and say, this is what you should do. You should change department. And what he came down to him saying was, you know, you're settling by being in the acting program. You can do this. This comes naturally to you. There's really nothing that I can teach you personally. But I was like, yo, I got 2 other teachers that are in this program that can teach me. Like, can I get to them next first? And
right.
he was like, no, you need to go into the vocal department because no one's going to let you teach voice with an acting degree. You'll be able to teach dialect, but that's not what your passion is. Your
Mm,
passion is the voice.
mm,
So what you need to do, and in order for you to have longevity in a musical theater field, you need to know your voice inside and out. Because if you're just coming out with an MFA under your belt, you have a shelf life of about 5 years. And
mm.
if you're not taking lessons in those 5 years, your voice is going to be blown out because you're doing 8 shows a week. So if you don't know how to take care of your instrument, this is what you need to learn now is how to take care of your instrument so that you have longevity. I want longevity for you. And also he was like, you're going to make more money singing opera than you're going to make it. Then I was like, but it's not about the money. It's not about well, it is about the pretty dresses, but it's not about the money. Like I have a passion.
Ah, that's funny.
But he was like, it is about the money because what I want is I want you to be able to buy your mother a house. And when he said that, I was like, oh, so you do have a heart.
You do actually have a heart.
You you have a heart.
Yeah.
But then in my mind, I was like, no, this is just another trick. It's another trick. It's a trick to prove that I don't want to be here when I really do want to be here. So I almost didn't change.
Wow.
I almost didn't change,
Wow. But you did.
but I did.
And you came here to New York with the thought that you were going to be an opera singer. How did that
I
change?
did. I came up here early and did opera apprenticeship program audition. I auditioned for Minnesota Opera, Florida State Situation Opera,
Hmm.
Florida,
Florida
maybe
Grammy?
or something,
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Opera, and there was one more, maybe Chicago.
Okay.
And it just so happened that that my choral conductor knew a guy who was then going to uh, be my accompanist for all of those auditions. And it turned out that he was the musical director over at American Girl Place. They had a theater there at the time. And at the end of all of my auditions, and some of them were pretty good, like my Minnesota audition was really good. My Dallas Opera audition was terrible. You know, I was myself. What I can honestly say is I was myself. I sang down, but I also laughed, and they did not like that.
Ugh, they can be so
That's
stuffy.
a whole nother story. Anyway, um, as I was leaving, the guy shook my hand and he said, "Today is," how did he word it? He was like, "Today is accompanist appreciation day." And I was like, "What?" And he shook my hand, and in his palm was the money that I had given him for accompanying me those 2 or 3 days. And I was like, "Well, what do you, no, 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 this is the money that I'm paying you." He was like, "No, keep it." He says, "Also, let me know if you want to audition for American Girl Place because we're looking for a cover." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, great. I could get some stuff together and I could send it to you." He was like, "Great." So I went back to my friend's house who was going to Manhattan School of Music at the time. I went back to her dorm and we sat and we talked. And I think I had also snuck in an audition for Disney Cruise Lines at the time.
Mickey.
I Oh my God. And I did end up working for Disney Cruise Lines just a little bit later. But I got a call from Disney Cruise Lines, and I think that call, and it was raining. I think that call was to say, "Thank you so much. We're going to move in a different direction." And then
So you
after
got a
I got off the
call?
phone with,
Because don't they
huh?
usually not say anything?
Yeah, I think so. Well, that was the only time that I had ever gotten called for anything. Still to this
I
day,
would rather that
everybody,
actually.
yes, like stop having me wait and decide for myself that I didn't get it. Like, just gonna tell me that I didn't get it.
Because at a certain point, you're like, okay, it's been 9 weeks.
Exactly. I don't think I booked that one, but and then so right after I got off the phone with them, and I was like, "Oh man, I ain't get booked Disney Cruise Lines." Then this guy called and was like, "We would love to offer you." So even before I had left New York to go back to school to finish up, I had a job at American Girl Place. Yeah, so I was blessed to be able to move to the city with work because that is stressful. It's
Talk
stressful enough.
about things working out for you and there being signs. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like he just happened to be your accompanist and,
correct.
got to see you work, got to
Yeah,
see you sing and act for days in these
yeah,
auditions.
yeah.
Why do we ever worry? Why do we ever
Oh
worry?
my God. Because we can't help it. We can't help ourselves. It's just in us.
We're just human.
It's in us. It's about control as well.
Mm,
Definitely
hmm.
is about control.
I love to think that I'm in control, but in reality,
Exactly. I am not in control. I'm not even in the passenger seat. Like I'm holding on to dear life to the license plate. Like that's where I
if you want to be real about it.
am.
So American Girl Place happens.
Yeah.
You're in New York, you're working. What was your first big job? Like where you're like, oh my God, this is really happening for me. What?
With Disney Cruise Line.
Wow.
I had also auditioned for Flat Rock Playhouse. and I can't remember what they were doing at the time, but they made me an offer around the same time. And I was like, well, because, cruise ships are not, well, some of them are now, but at that time in 1806, um, a, a long, long time ago, equity didn't have any jurisdiction. So I was like, well, let me do this cruise ship contract before I turn equity, because once I'm equity, I won't be able to do it anymore.
Hmm.
So let me go ahead and get this knocked out. But thank you so much. I really hope to be able to audition to you, with you in the future, blah, blah, blah. And so it turned out. I ended up getting my card from Flat Rock Playhouse that next year. So
Come on, card.
yeah. And then, I was like, oh shoot, I got my card. Like my whole life is about to change. Like I'm about to blow up.
Did the card change your life in the way that you were expecting?
It made it easier to audition. It made it so it gave me access. It gave me much better access. And I also made it a point, because I would see it when it would happen. Like, if they put your list together, they haven't put you online, but
Mhm.
you know that you're going to be in the next group and you're non-equity. If an equity person comes in, then they bump you off the list to make room for the equity person. And I
Mhm.
said, you know what? I know how that feels. I'm never going to be that person.
Mm.
I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to do that because, this person is ready to go and I just walked in. So don't let me, there's nothing wrong with being late and coming later,
Right.
because you need your rest, or you have a job, or or you're coming from a rehearsal, or you're coming from another show and you're trying to fit this in. I get that. But if I see that there's already a line of a list of people already being called, then I'm just going to wait, because I don't want anybody else to have to come on, because it's just stress. You're already stressed out as it is. And when you think you're about to go, then that just amps up. And then for you to then be taken offline, ugh, I was like, you know what? I'm not contributing to nobody's ulcer.
Listen, it's
I
quite a
can
process.
wait.
It's quite
Yeah,
a
it
process.
is.
Kira says, not 1806.
Yes, girl. 1806. We old.
All right. So then eventually you get to, I think it starts with a B.
but
Br-
but,
Br-
but
Broadway?
I think that's what they call it. Do they still call it that now? It's
Wait,
shut
is it the
down right
Great
now.
White Way?
It's the Great White Way, which I always hated. I always hated that. They were like, no, 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 no. It's the lights. It's the lights. No, 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 no. It's every other cast that's up there.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. But that's neither here nor there. Things are changing. Things are changing. Yeah, I made my Broadway debut in Disaster, the musical.
How did, like, what was the audition process like? Did you know you booked it when you walked in the room?
Yeah, it was crazy. I was tied to that show for 6 years before it went to Broadway.
6.
6. So we had a production at the Box. I don't know if you're familiar with the Box.
Mm-mm.
I don't think you need to be familiar with the Box. The Box is a very specific place, way, way, way downtown,
Okay.
where all the streets are names, and I always get lost. Um, they have shows there. One in particular is a reverse strip tease.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the the performer comes out completely naked,
Like stark. Like nothing.
just as you're born, just naked, and then pulls out an entire outfit and sunglasses from a very personal and private place.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and so it's a reverse striptease.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's the kind of place the Box is. But it was perfect for Disaster, because it was just like this grassroots rough and tumble, B movie musical based on disaster movies of the '70s, '60s and '70s. So it was perfect for it to be there. You like the floor, the carpet was kind of sticky. You had these really cute banquettes, and it looked like the inside of a cruise ship. Like it was perfect there.
Oh, great.
And then that was the very first time that we did it, and it was a benefit concert, backers concert, basically. And then we had a cute little run at the Triad. I don't think it's the Triad anymore.
Hmm.
Over on 79th or 72nd, one of those. I didn't get to do it when it did its off Broadway, its actual off Broadway run, because I was doing this little thing called what was it called? Book of Mormon. I was in the first national tour of that, so I was out of town. I was out of town.
Okay.
But when it transferred to Broadway, I was on the road, and my agent called me, and I can't remember which city we were in. But he was like, yeah, we want to go ahead and just make you an offer and to see if you would like to carry on your role as Lavora Verona. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, because at the time I had been in Book of Mormon for 2.5 years. So I had called my agent already and was like, I'm tired of being a glorified set piece. Like I want more. My soul is not being fulfilled. So I was ready to move on at that point. And so, what better way to move on than with your Broadway debut?
What?
Right?
I actually saw you in Disaster, and it's
That's
so
crazy.
funny. It's so funny. My friend Neil, who is like a theater like lover, he was like, "Hey, you want to come see the show?" I was like, "Sure." And I saw you, and I thought you were amazing. And then it wasn't until we met each other in Kentucky that I don't know how it came up. But you're like, "Yeah, I was in Disaster." I was like, "I saw you."
You saw me rolling on the floor.
Yes, child.
It was a lot of
So
fun. I had fun.
not only were you in Disaster on Broadway, but you were also in a movie. What
Yes.
was it called? First
Second.
level? Oh, second.
Second. First level power up. No. I'm
Second act.
glad that you're as terrible with names as I am. You know that play about the play about the racism. That play for the kids.
Second act,
Second act.
starring Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, and Leah Remini and Milo. Is it Milo or Milo?
I think it's Milo. I don't know.
Milo Vigdamiglia. Child, let me tell you about that man. So I was assuming that this is Hollywood. This is Hollywood that's happening. Let me be soft because I love hugs and I like to squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Lacretta, like these people are delicate. Don't squeeze this man. Please don't squeeze this man. Just exhale, put your arms out, and let him go. When I tell you this man yoked me up, like I I I was very surprised at how solid that man is. And he smells so good.
Jesus.
And he winks at you. Like we were doing a scene and I was just chilling and sometimes my face does things that I'm not really paying attention to it and so it looks intimidating but it's really not because I'm thinking about pizza. But he looked over at me, we made eye contact and he winked at me and that was it. I was like, man, don't do that. Don't do that, man. Man, don't do that to me, please.
So
Don't
fine.
wink again.
So fine.
So fun and so nice and so nice. Like another time he came because he was also still shooting for what is it called? This Is Us.
This is
I was gonna call it something. I was gonna call it a video game. um anyway, he was coming down the street and we were at the other end and he just waved. I was like, oh my God, like he's so bow-legged, he's just so cute.
what? Okay, what? You're on a movie set with these like people. Did
Right.
you deal with any imposter syndrome? Did you deal with, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening? What was going through
No,
your mind?
I was just shocked. And it happened so fast. And I told people, please don't do as I do, because I was a good 20 minutes late to my audition. Don't do that. Please be on
Okay.
time. I was prepared, but I was coming from rehearsal, and the audition was at Silver Cup Studios, which is in Queens. And I don't go to Queens because I live in the Bronx. And there's just no easy way to get to Queens unless you want to pay $50, $60 to get there. But since I was in the city, I was like, I'm going to jump on this N train. That's not the train that I need to be on. I think I needed to either be on the 7 or the R. I don't know because I don't use these trains. And I ended up somewhere and called an Uber and then felt stupid because I was literally across the street. And so I'm just this whirlwind of nerves. I go in and the security guard was just like, "Oh, it's fine. You're good. You're good. Just calm down." I was like, "No, you don't understand. Like, I'm late. I'm late. I feel so bad. And I'm trying to make a great impression because this is my first movie." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, that's great. That's fine.
Did you
You're
realize the
fine.
gravity of this
Okay."
audition? Like that it was a
Right.
movie and that these people were going to be in it?
Right. No. And the awesome part is that he was also there when I had gone in for 30 Rock. And he was the same laid back, chill dude. "You're fine. You're going to be fine." And he pushes the button. I go upstairs. This is how late I was. Please don't do this with your careers. Don't do this. They had put all the chairs away. That's how late I was.
When
So
it's
I
for
had
you,
to
it's for you.
stand and
You're going to
lean
have it.
against the wall and sign in. And I stood there for a little while. And I was like, they're not coming back out here. They didn't put the chairs away. I'm surprised that the sign-in sheet is still out here. So I peeked around the corner and she gave me that, yeah. That, yeah, look. Because see, I'm still frozen. So you don't know. You can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, that look. That's the one. That's the one. And I was like, you ain't going to get this, girl.
Might as well just go ahead and just
But,
say, all right.
I'm out here. So I may as well just go ahead and do it. But I had a great audition. And matter of fact, what I auditioned for wasn't even the role that I booked.
Wait, what?
Right. Right. And that made me nervous because I was like, oh, well, do I need to make another tape so that they can see me do this other part? And they were like, no, you booked it. You got it. Like, you got the job. So just go to work. Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Out of all the things that you've done, movies, television, Broadway, whatever, what's been your favorite gig to date?
Oh gosh, it's a toss up between Avenue Q,
Mm,
just getting to cut up and be a little boy, you know,
good show.
until I read further into it and really started paying attention to how they treated Gary in the show. But that's another conversation. Then I would have to say doing the movie. Doing the movie. I mean, it's just a whole nother beast.
Mm,
And I had such great people around. I had a great director. Pete is just, I mean, he worked with David Spade and with Chris Farley. Like his sense of humor is just, it's vast and it's so deep. And he's not like, he can see you're funny and he can expound upon that as opposed to making you be his kind of funny. And that's what I appreciate. Because I was the kid who was watching BBC when I was little.
Yeah.
So my sense of humor and my timing is a bit different than American timing. And so he can see that. And I learned so much on that set. And then you got Leah Remini, who on our breaks would just tell us stories. And would just be like, I never really thought that I was going to get into this. Like, I would show up to auditions in sweatpants. Like, I just didn't really, I took it seriously, but I didn't have to put all that pressure on me because we had money. So I didn't, I wanted to work and I loved performing, but I just didn't have that extra pressure that if I don't book this, I'm not going to eat.
Yeah.
She said, so things came a little bit differently for her. It's not that she does, because that woman works hard now. Not to say that when she's on set, she don't work hard. She works hard. She was great. And I just loved, like, just you never knew what was going to come out of her mouth, so you had to listen, you had to respond, you had to be open, you had to pay attention. And that's the same thing with me. There's stuff that they caught that I was like, I didn't even realize that you could hear me say that.
Wow.
But you were mic'd all the time. So I mean, not like when you were in your dressing room or anything, or excuse me, in your trailer, darling.
Yes.
Not like when you were in your trailer, but like when you are doing scenes and you think that you're the background, and then they just pop and bump some stuff that you were doing in the back. Like it's just it's a submersive experience that we don't get doing theater. But then the immediate response of the audience, then you don't get that when you're doing film and television. And so that's when you really have to trust yourself and really trust that you are funny and you are enough, because they can't laugh because it's going to be picked up by the mics. So they have to be quiet. They can laugh after, but
Right.
when you're going through it, you just have to trust your partner and you have to trust yourself that you're enough.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Trust. And that's a hard thing.
Yeah.
There was something that I shot before we got together in March, and he was asking me later, he was like, "Where'd you come from?" I was like, "Oh, well, I've been doing this, I've been doing that, I've been in New York for 13 years, blah, 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 blah." And he said, "So do you prefer doing drama or do you prefer doing comedy?" And I said, "Well, I prefer on film doing drama because you can feel the tension. So you
Mm-hmm.
can gauge that this is good, you're going in the right direction. Then the director will tell you, tweak this, tweak that, blah, blah, blah." But when you're doing comedy, because there's no laughter, I said, I really feel like I have to work a lot harder to be funny. And he just kind of looked at me like, "What is you talking about?" Like, you are mad funny. Like, I don't understand why you would feel that you aren't. And I was like, I'm just still trying to get my bearings. And he just looked at me like, "Girl, you got it. You got your bearings."
You
He
got
said,
it.
yeah, yeah. But it's hard, I grew up with that instant gratification of an audience laughing and clapping and, or
Mm.
gasping or just that stillness. So it's taken me some getting used to. But like once that clicks in, oh man, you're not gonna be able to stop me.
Taking into account all the things you've been through as far as career is concerned, what would be your advice to either your younger self or to someone that really wants to get into the business and maybe is losing hope because they aren't getting the jobs or whatever? What would
Yeah,
you say to them?
just hang in there. Please hang in there. Don't give up. Don't give up. And I as much as I hate that, oh, things happen when you're sitting on the toilet thing. Like, no, I mean, you also have to put the work in.
That's
You're
true.
not gonna just be sitting on the toilet and end up in a recurring role on TV. Like, that's not gonna happen. But if you prepare yourself and if you hone your craft and if you continue to flex those muscles, and my mother would always say, you never know who's looking at you, you never know who's watching you. And so what you think that you're doing that is not making an impact is making an impact. All those times you hear no from casting directors, they're still talking about you.
Mm.
So you might not get the direct feedback, but at the end of the day, they start calling you for things. They start fighting for you. And then you
Mm.
find yourself in a position where, it's down between you and something else, but there's a rapport that they already have with you and they push for you. So it's just always be the kind of person that people want to work with. Don't be mean. Learn as many people's names as you possibly can.
Mm.
Talk to everybody because you never know who these people are. Just because he's holding a boom mic today, don't mean that he wasn't in your shoes, or still can be in your shoes. You
Simple.
know,
Simple things. Those are
it's
simple
so
things.
simple. Just be nice to people and be prepared. Be prepared.
The saying is, success is when preparation meets opportunity. The opportunity is gonna
Correct.
come your way.
It's going to
You be
come.
ready.
Yeah. That's why when your friend books a job, cheer for your friend. Cheer for your friend because now your friend is employed, which means when it comes around again, they ain't gonna be able to work because they are already working. So be happy for your friend because then that just moves everybody up the line to getting a job. There's only so many jobs to go around. We can't have them all. We can't take them all.
Mm-hmm.
and there's enough for everybody. So just hang in there, please.
There's enough. Listen, whoever you are that's looking at this, either now or in the future, realize that there is enough for everybody. There is a place for
Yeah,
you.
there's a place for you. And if you don't see a place for you readily available, then you make your place.
Huh? Create.
Come
Right.
on now. Come on.
You know?
Write it. Get it ready. I mean, I think about myself and I think about where I am, where things are going, and the ideas that I have. And like, I had started writing things for myself. And I'm like, I'm in a perfect opportunity now that my foot is real good in the door to be like, okay, now I have these projects. Because there are times when we have this shot and then the stars just shift in a different direction, and then you just don't have the same focus, that the light is not focused on you the way that it was for those last 15 minutes. So you always have to have, if you don't see somewhere else for you to go, then have these things. Oh, you don't have another role for a full figured, dark skinned Black woman with platinum blonde hair. Hey, I have these 3 projects that I've already written that I'd love for you to read over.
Come on. Come on. Ready.
Because
Go.
if nobody knows who you are, then they can't write nothing for you. And
That's
I'm
real.
not trying to be writing a whole no whole series. Like, look, I got the pilot written. You have the tone. I got all my character descriptions down and what their arcs are here. But this first episode is written. Can you just write the rest of it so I can focus on the lines?
Thank you.
Right? But I also want that executive producer credit, so
Okay.
make that happen.
We've been talking about an hour already, and I feel like we've
Oh
been talking
wow.
for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, I want to talk about your mom. I want to talk about your
Yeah.
relationship with your mom. She passed, yes?
Yes, 2011. 11/1/11.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, Day of the Dead. Actually, oh no, All Saints Day.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I was obsessed. Like the whole Dia de los Muertos. I was like, oh my god, these sugar skulls, these are amazing. Look at these shrines. This is so cool. I was like, girl, you're in a cemetery. Get out of here.
I can't imagine what it's like to lose a mom. Or maybe not even lose. Maybe I need to reframe the
Reframe that.
vocabulary
I
around
mean, you lose the physical of her. Um, you know, ultimately, there's something to be said when your mother is told she can't have children. And then, hello, here's Lacretta.
So
So
she was
we
told she could
already,
not have kids.
oh, yes, they told me that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Because she had fibroids. And even when she was pregnant with me, they had to go in and remove a fibroid because it was going to be detrimental to me.
You were already in there
So,
and they removed the fibroid while you were in there.
correct,
Wow.
correct. So, so there was already a bond between us that was pretty deep. She went a little crazy a couple of times. I'm not gonna lie. She would agree. She went a little crazy for her child.
Okay.
But it was out of love. And once the initial fights were over, then I came to understand that. And she didn't directly apologize. It was just kind of like, so, you hungry?
Sometimes
You
that is
want to
the
go to
apology.
Peachtree? You want to go to Peachtree and go eat?
Sometimes that
Yeah, I
is
guess
the
that's fine.
apology.
I guess so. But I think it's easier for us because I knew it was coming.
Mm,
I think I would be in a much different headspace if it were sudden.
mm,
As much as I love those crime shows, those true life crime shows, I always pray and say, thank you, God, that it wasn't this way for me, because I don't know that I would have been able to survive that.
mm, mm.
But I didn't have a ton of time to know that it was coming. But I had a good week or two
Mm,
to know that we were at the end. So,
mm,
I got to say everything that I felt I needed to say to her. And I knew everything that she wanted to say, even though I don't have a tangible letter or recording or something. of
Hmm.
her saying everything to me. So
What a gift.
I feel like I have
Beautiful.
closure.
That's a huge gift.
Yeah. And I've got her ashes. So, she's still very much present in my life.
How does she
I know
show up
as a
in your life?
Christian, oh my goodness, dreams, the dreams. It was a little kind of disjointed in the beginning because I told my mama, I was like, look, I believe in ghosts. Please don't show up to me. I can't, I'm not going to be able to handle that, please. I have definitely seen my fair share of ghosts, and I just don't want that for us.
Right. I can't. I can't do it.
I
I'm not
will
gonna be.
run from you. I will run from you. And I've only ever run from you once, and that was because I was about to get my butt whooped. So but we like one of the first dreams that I had, I would say it was probably like the third or fourth dream. We're on the phone. There's a lot of static, but I can totally understand what she's saying.
Hmm.
And towards the end of the dream, it comes through crystal clear. You have everything that you need. I love you. And that was the end of the dream.
Wow.
And of course, I wake up crying because how profound is that? But I agreed. I did. I was grown when she passed away. And
Mm.
so I had learned so much from her. She had learned a lot from me. Um, and I did. I had everything that I needed, but I needed to remember that
Mm.
and to take that forward with me that, yeah, I'm technically alone because I'm an only child. I don't have siblings. I'm all the way over here in New York, so I don't really have a direct connection with the family because they're back in Missouri. But even then, I have everything that I need, and I
Mm.
know that my mother loves me.
Mm.
But then I also had another dream where she stabbed me in the neck. So like, there's still. it was
Okay.
it was but I get it. Again, I understood why she did it. Like we were hanging out, having a good time, enjoying each other, and I was like, well, mommy, I gotta go. And she was like, no, I don't want you to leave. And I was like, I know, I want to stay too, but I have to go. Did you ever see that movie? What is it? Deus Ex Mach no Ex Machina. It was like Olive what's his name? Oscar Isaac, and it's about androids. And so at the end of the movie, the android is like, "Look, I'm a human being. I got free will. I'm leaving," and she just stabs him. It's not like a wicked, like out of control stab. It's just a smooth. She just smooth walks up to him, stabs him real slow, takes the knife out, and walks over his body. And that's what my mother did to me. She just
Wow.
walked up to me, she stabbed me in my neck, and then she and
Wow. That's
I was like,
crazy.
mommy, I want to stay. I really do want to stay, but I gotta go. I gotta
Right.
go. And she didn't like that, but I had to wake up. Like it was time. It was time.
Wow. That's so cool.
It's
That
really
you can
cool. But
still.
then that's the only one where she actually physically hurt me. But the rest of them have been so symbolic and so beautiful. And, you know, in my biggest time of doubt, like doing Book of Mormon, I don't know if she would have enjoyed that musical because the language is very strong and some
It's a
stuff
lot.
goes down.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. But what I loved about that is that I did that maybe a year after she had passed, is when I
Mm.
joined the cast. And so it came at a time in my life where I could totally understand how a person could be so angry about their situation that they would say that particular phrase.
Mm.
I was never that angry, but I was sitting there at my mom's side and I was talking to the hospice nurse and I was like, I just wonder about, I'm afraid for my joy.
Mhm.
I'm afraid that when this goes down, that I'm not going to be the same happy person that I was before. And I said, I prayed to God and I said, I'm probably going to be upset with you for a while, but I'm going to work through it and I'm going to be back. but
That's
I'm probably
real.
not going to talk to you for a while.
Oh, that's real.
Listen, because that's all I had. That was my mom. Like, it was just her and I against the world. And so I knew that that was really going to impact me when she wasn't there anymore. But again, we had these conversations. She would always tell me, I'm not going to be here forever.
Mm,
So stop acting crazy. Get yourself together, little girl.
right.
Because I'm not going to be here forever and you need to learn how to take care of yourself. And so the hospice nurse was like, that's valid. He says, but I don't worry about you. And I was like, well,
Hmm.
what do you mean? He was like, because you have the ability to throw your head back and laugh. He was like, I wish that I could be more like you.
Come on, hospice
He-
nurse minister.
right? He was like, I can't laugh like that. I'm too worried about what other people think to be able to laugh that freely like that. And you are so open. He said, yeah, you may take a hit. He says, but I don't worry about you at all. And he was like, and this is what I do. I sit with people in their last moments. This is my job. This is my career. So I know people. He said, so I'm not worried about you. And I was like, oh, great. Well, good, good.
This has been so wonderful.
Wonderful, yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us. What's next for you? Where can we follow you? Are you on Instagram? Are you
Ah,
on the gram? Like, what's
I'm
going
on the
on?
gram and I'm on Twitter. You can follow me on both at just _Lacretta, Lacretta,
Where-
on both Twitter and Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. This has been another episode of Damon Speaks. Let me cue up my thing because I think I'm gonna try to say.
You got closing music?
I got closing music. So you can find me on Instagram at Damon_Speaks. I'm also here on Facebook. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love to get my subscribers up so I can get on the road toward monetization because it's kind of hard out here. But I really appreciate all of your love, all of your support. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Come back next week. Next Monday at 8 p.m. I will be here. Feel free to email me at damonspeaks411@gmail.com. You can always reach into my DMs. I'm always there and willing to help or willing to listen. I love you. You know what I always say. Keep your head up.